The Final Fantasy Wiki Podcast is brought to you by Szymanski and Sons Clown and Buffoonery Emporium. When you need to dress up your wackiest for the big new gaming event, there's Szymanski and Sons Clown and Buffoonery Emporium. Since 2019, Szymanski and Sons Clown and Buffoonery Emporium has been here to help you cry about no Silksong news. We got regular clowns, bug clowns, girl bug clowns, sexy girl bug clowns, and really sexy girl bug clowns. Everything you need to feel bad about the hot upcoming Hollow Knight sequel not having a trailer yet again. Bloodborne fans, welcome! Yeah, so that was the thing I wrote for this episode. It seemed topical.
Man, at this rate, the entirety of the 7 Remake trilogy is going to release within Silksong's dev period.
Yeah.
Which is so, it's so funny to think about because, not long ago, that whole thing was thought as vaporware. You know, even when they announced the trailer for it, we still thought it was vaporware and it was never happening.
No.
Until the first game actually released.
What do you mean?
And now we can't even use that as the vaporware thing anymore. We're back to Half-Life 3 or something.
Oh, sorry. So you were saying Final Fantasy VII was vaporware.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, originally it was vaporware until it came out. And it's so crazy to think about.
Not even that much. It's just that was in the period where Square just threw out the reveal trailer the second they started working on the thing, which
they don't really do that anymore.
Even if they had more PS2 era dev cycles, it's still a bad idea.
Well, I mean, Kingdom Hearts 4, they released a trailer 2 years ago, and the rumor is we won't have that game till some fabulous year called 2026 at minimum. Oh, by the way, this is the Final Fantasy Wiki Podcast. Welcome.
Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome. I'm your host, BlueHighwind. Joining me is those guys.
Yes, hi, we're those guys.
Yep.
Hello.
It's Technobliterator and SomeColorMage.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll figure out what color that mage is, but not today.
Some color. Who knows?
Yep. Whatever color you like, he's the mage for you. There, I have a lot of ad copy in me right now. This month, we really don't have all that much Final Fantasy news. So, this is kind of our unofficial, just sort of gaming podcast episode, I guess. We'll do what news we got.
It's a gaming podcast from the perspective of Final Fantasy fans. I think
there you go, yes.
Yeah. Look, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, and I hope you are, because I don't know why else you'd be listening to the podcast, this is our take on other games that you may or may not want to check out.
Yeah. This is, well, I don't really consider myself a Final Fantasy fan first and foremost. I don't know what category I'd give myself first and foremost. I mean, of all the video game franchises there are, easily the greatest is The Legend of Zelda. And then Final Fantasy. Which is
topical for today.
It is topical for today. Not topical yet, though, because let's actually do what news we got, and then we'll find out how much time we need to vamp for. So, June 2024. Anno Domini. Octopath Traveler is coming to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. That is a Final Fantasy-ish game. I think that released already.
That's the first one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Octopath Traveler 1.
So what happened is for some unknowable reason, probably even to Square Enix, Octopath 1 was on Switch PC and Xbox, while Octopath 2 was on Switch PC and PlayStation. And they finally fixed that. Now they're both on PlayStation and Xbox.
Oh, they're like, oh wait, we forgot to release that on PlayStation, didn't we?
Yeah, pretty
much.
Let's
fix that. Octopath.
They did also they did also update Octopath 2. Like they added an extra super boss fight where you have to fight the cast of the first Octopath.
Oh, is that
I
hard?
will say,
Probably. I mean, I haven't been back to the game.
yeah, I haven't played Octopath 2. I've heard that 2 is much better than 1, right? What I'll say with 1 is it is very Final Fantasy-esque in a lot of good ways. Like, I really love the graphical style for number 1, right? I really love what they did with it. And, in general, there's a lot of really good ideas in it. My problem with Octopath 1 was there's so much burnout in that game that I experienced. I was like really burnt out on it because of how difficult it is. And yeah, I mean, call me squeamish if you want, but I don't enjoy really, really difficult games because I just don't have fun with them. I don't feel like I'm progressing with them.
So you're not a Shadow of the Erdtree player then, right now.
Yeah, not even close to that.
And I didn't even make it that far in Elden Ring.
I didn't even play Elden Ring.
And also, Shadow of the Erdtree sounds like it was way overtuned anyway, and I guess that's just kind of the inevitable fate when you've tied the identity of your sort of Dark Souls meta series to being the hardest fucking thing. You just continue making it harder and harder, and then it just becomes unfun for everyone except the true weirdos.
More like Shadow of the Turd Tree, am I right?
Okay, thank you, Angry Video Game Nerd.
Okay. I came up with that one like 3 weeks ago and haven't had a reason to say it. So, next news bit. Layoffs have hit the Japan studio that made Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. This is a company called Gumi or Gummy. So it's asking employees to voluntarily resign because the company has posted a loss of 5.934 billion yen, about 38 million over fiscal year 2024. This is mostly regarding their game Jesus Christ. Tatariquis. Looks like no one liked that game because the name has horrendous mouthfeel. So 80 are expected to be made redundant. This should not have really any effect on Brave Exvius, I assume. That game's still running, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to have an audience from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. But Gumi or Gummies, their solo productions, doesn't seem to be working out too well for them. And I am sorry for all fans of Aster Tatariquis. My heart goes out to you. Whatever that thing is. Yep. Meanwhile, let's see. It looks like the PC version of Final Fantasy 16 will be coming soon. That's one of the rumors that's happening now. The other rumor is that the Final Fantasy 9 remake is coming soon. It was reported by RPG site.
Right, yeah. So what happened is that someone finally made a version of SteamDB for the Epic Games Store, and because this wasn't a thing that had to be dealt with before, pretty much all of those secret projects that aren't supposed to be revealed yet were right out in the goddamn open.
Yep.
And while they were codenamed to make it not as obvious, the Final Fantasy 9 one had a thing in there explicitly called like the pre-order triple triad pack. So that was
here. I can tell you what's in there. It's the early purchase bonus Tetramaster starter pack, a pre-order bonus called Thieves' Knives, and cuisine set. Those are the three things that were included in here. So.
Yeah.
Yes, the Tetramaster pack. I apologize. I mistook that for a much more playable card game.
Yes. Maybe in this remake they'll make Tetramaster actually good, but who knows?
Well, that would be a hell of a challenge, for sure.
Here's my suggestion. Don't include Tetramaster at all. Just include Queen's Blood from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Just put that in there. That's a great game.
Or Triple
Queen's
Triad.
Blood rules.
Now, Queen's Blood's even better than Triple Triad.
Also, like we've already got 2 main series games with Triple Triad in it. Spread the love out a little bit.
Wait,
Yeah,
what else is
okay, fair enough.
Final Fantasy XIV is Triple Triad, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot less bullshit because you can't lose cards.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is why I'm so glad they didn't make you lose cards in 7 Rebirth.
So also big rumored is Final Fantasy Tactics remaster. This was reported by Jason Schreier. Actually, not really reported by him as much as he got into like a Reddit argument. And one of his comments is, "Hi, the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster is real and happening." Quote.
Yeah.
Another quote from him is, "Don't blame me, blame yourself or God."
Yeah. Yeah. He also mentioned that like the reason we haven't heard anything is that it's under Studio 3, which of course Studio 3 has a major release coming out this Friday, so they've been kind of busy.
Oh, so it's the Final Fantasy XIV group is making that.
Yeah, and that makes sense because I'm pretty sure everyone high up in Matsuno's team that's still in Square Enix is now under Yoshida.
Huh. Were they responsible for the Tactics Ogre remake?
I think they were. I'm pretty sure Matsuno was involved in that somehow. So, and when Matsuno has worked for Square Enix recently, he was in Yoshida's team because he was doing writing for parts of 14.
Yeah. Let me see. Tactics Ogre Reborn. Now this is Square Next website. That's not going to tell me anything. On Steam, does this tell me anything? No. I cannot find what team made this friggin' Rebirth. Reborn, not Rebirth. Alright, whatever. It's unimportant. I imagine that many people who worked on that will work on Tactics, because originally they were the ones that made both games. So, also, speaking of Tactics, Matsuno tweeted out something cool recently. This is artwork of an original idea of what Final Fantasy Tactics would have been. This is a Final Fantasy Tactics version that looks exactly like Ogre Battle 64.
Right.
With the same oddly proportioned characters fighting monsters. Also, there's a quote from a character in English saying, "Please, it's only temporary, allow me to take refuge here." That's just a guy saying that.
Yeah.
Hot take, but I am glad that we got Final Fantasy Tactics and not an Ogre Battle 64 Final Fantasy game, because, hot take, Ogre Battle 64, not very good. RTSs on consoles, not a good idea.
That being said, that artwork is still quite nice. So.
It's extremely cool. It rips. Unicorn Overlord, boring as hell. Come at me. I'm just going to say these things. So what stuff that Square Enix actually released? Or, like, teased, I guess. So we got a Final Fantasy XIV final release trailer for Dawntrail.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch that trailer, and it's all gone already.
Yeah, it's just a general plot trailer. It didn't really reveal anything big this time, I guess. There was one scene that falls to the old thing of the scene is dramatic, but the scene is supposed to be dramatic, but you're doing it with the Lalafell, so it just looks kind of silly.
I want the main villain of one of these expansions to be a Lalafell.
That'll be fun.
But it's like, they do it ultra dramatic, like, a World of Final Fantasy, where it's little tiny people, but like with regular adult voice actors. But everyone plays it completely straight as this person goes off in this Shakespearean soliloquy, but they're, 3 feet tall and potato-shaped. So next month we will be talking about Dawntrail. That will be our topic. SomeColorMage, I've decided that in order for me to be able to run any sort of episode on Final Fantasy XIV, I will have to watch the cutscenes of this expansion, so I can at least try to talk about it intelligently on some level.
Okay.
I don't want to suspend 20 minutes with you guys just talking about lore and me completely falling asleep and having nothing to say in response.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree that this is a good plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess we should also at least try to see if we can get Casuals available for next month, because he's probably going to be better at talking about this than Techno. No offense, but I don't expect you to watch it.
Yeah. And I have to be here. This is the path that life has forced me into. Assuming I don't get COVID again or something, Bad things have happened in the past. Yeah, so that'll be that. And, alright, so upcoming stuff that was Square Enix related in whatever this thing is that was E3 but now occupies the month of June. Summer Game Fest, singular. It's that, it's the Xbox Showcase, it's Nintendo Direct, etc., etc. All those things.
Was that one state of play that wasn't very good?
Yeah, so that too. So we got a Visions of Mana launch date trailer, which is not a remake. It seems to be a new video game that's coming out later this summer.
It does look very much like they're building on the Trials of Mana remake, which, I mean, maybe that'll be better. I've mentioned this before, I did not like the end game of the Trials of Mana remake.
I am in no way a Mana expert, so I have very little to say about it. All they need to do to make that bearable is to make the AI good at dodging. So maybe, but it does look quite nice. So yeah, we are also getting Dragon Quest III HD. It's alive. It's back. This is the HD 2D remake.
And 2, if I'm not mistaken.
They're doing 1 and 2 next year.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the fact that they are expanding to the entire trilogy was rumored for a while, and then at the last anniversary they put out this short teaser for the Dragon Quest III remake, which very suspiciously did not mention 3, and then at the end of this Nintendo Direct trailer they just outright said yes, Dragon Quest III HD 2D coming this year, 1 and 2 next year.
Yep.
I don't know how you men feel, but when I was watching that trailer, I felt so jealous of Dragon Quest in that moment. And the reason I felt so jealous was because that graphic style is really, really good. And I was just thinking, wouldn't it be so nice if the old Final Fantasies were remastered in those styles? But nope, we got the pixel remasters, which are fine, to be clear. The pixel remasters are fine, but they've got nothing on this shit. They've got absolutely nothing on that HD2 remake. Nothing on that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's the thing is that the Dragon Quest guy, Yuji Horii, he's still there and insists on a minimum level of quality for every single one of the games that he worked on. I imagine it's how it is. So he's like, we're gonna go and remake 3. We're gonna make remake 3 really, really damn good. And actually, the 4, 5, and 6 remakes for the DS, those were also pretty solid ones. Those were almost HD 2D games. They had like a rotating camera you could do, and the pixels with 2D and a 3D background in many places.
Right.
Well, the 3D remake for Final Fantasy IV was fine, back on the DS.
Yeah.
That one was fine, but it's, again, these the Final Fantasy remakes have nothing on, remasters, I should say, have nothing on that Dragon Quest remake. Nothing on it whatsoever. And I got so jealous of Dragon Quest fans.
I understand, because, Final Fantasy VI has never looked better than it did on the Super Nintendo. Every revision and retouch they've done has just made it look much worse.
Remaster is not better, but it's not worse. It's better than the 2014 version.
Let me see how that looks. It's been a minute since I've looked at Final Fantasy VI Remaster, so let's see what that looks like.
I remember you being repulsed by it.
Yeah, it's terrible. They fucked it up completely. They need to do a proper like if they're gonna touch Final Fantasy VI, they need to do it completely the way they're doing this HD 2D version. People were talking about a Chrono Trigger remake in this style too.
That would be wonderful.
I am fine with them just not touching Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, basically, if you're gonna do Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, you got to do like straight ports, like the GBA or DS versions, effectively, don't do anything at all.
That's pretty much what the Pixel Remaster 6 does. It's very close to the same graphical base. The only really big update is that they changed the Opera to be HD 2D.
Yeah, but it's too wide and it's a beautiful, perfect, well, maybe not perfect, but it's an extremely gorgeous video game that you want to get perfect if you're going to touch it up again, and they don't even have the text right, and that's annoying. We've had this conversation before. I am annoying like this. So, also from Square Enix, Life is Strange Double Exposure. That'll be a direct sequel to the original Life is Strange, not a spin-off in any way, not a different story that's called Life is Strange like Life is Strange 2 was. There was also Strange Colors that came out a couple years ago. I didn't play that one.
Considering how long they've been insistent on telling other stories, I'm pretty sure going back to the original cast is an in case of emergency break glass moment.
Yeah, this seems like this is the last hope we have to make Life is Strange like still a thing. Because this isn't even the same developers anymore. This is Don't Nod were the original developers. I'm not sure who Square Enix put on the new games. Let me find out who that is. True Colors was developed by Deck 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think they're also doing this redo of Life is Strange 2, or whatever this is called. Yes, they are. They are going to be doing that. They also did the Expanse of Telltale series, interestingly. I guess... Oh, these are former Telltale people. That's who that studio is. Max Caulfield looks weird in this trailer. She doesn't look like Max properly to me. I guess that's all we have to say about that. Big news.
Well, look. I have a theory. The only Life is Strange game that seems to have been received well is the original, and the original is the only one that mentions Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
Okay.
I think there's a pattern there that Square Enix should take notice of.
Okay, so in the remake, like, it should open with a flashback to Max Caulfield and her family walking out of Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, surrounded by a sea of deeply confused and troubled faces, while little Max Caulfield is jumping up and down in excitement because it's the greatest movie she's ever seen.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. We should write this game. I think we got this.
Easy.
Yeah. Actually, we should not write this game, considering I don't think any of us are equipped to handle like queer themes or anything like this.
Nope.
Yeah. So exactly what you want. Video gamers, capital G gamers, writing your Life is Strange. Yeah, it's going to be a disaster. Let's not do this one.
Easy.
Okay. The big news. Fantasian, the Mistwalker game that came out originally on iOS. This is Hironobu Sakaguchi's newest video game. This is now getting a proper version on consoles. PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox, Switch, Steam. Coming winter 2024. Called Fantasian Neo Dimensions. This is the first collaboration between Sakaguchi and Square Enix in any capacity, I think since 2004 officially, when he left.
In formal capacity, yeah, because Sakaguchi has been willing
Special
to do
thanks.
PR for Final Fantasy, especially things with Yoshida. Like, he seems to be particularly close to Studio 3, but like Sakaguchi has been friendly with Square for a while now, so yeah, I guess this makes sense because Square does have the tools to publish on console, while Mistwalker has traditionally relied on someone else to help them, and usually they end up pairing with someone who demands strict exclusivity. You know, they worked with Microsoft, they worked with Apple. Meanwhile, Square is publicly announcing, yes, we're just going to put everything on everything.
Yeah. I have an official quote from Sakaguchi on this new thing, so let me quote him. Fantasian Neo Dimension has had its grand reveal, marking its comeback at Square Enix. The strength of a digital title is that it can continue existing without deteriorating, and I wanted Fantasian to be an especially long-standing title. I developed Fantasian thinking it could become my final work before retiring, so it has a special place in my heart. Having the opportunity to rebuild it at Square Enix this way and making it widely known is truly a blessing. This title is an amalgamation of the souls of the diorama craftsmen, Uematsu Compositions, and of course the game developers. If you'd like, please do give it a try. Notably, this game is the backgrounds are made with physical dioramas. That's the cool gimmick behind it.
Mm-hmm. And it does look very good.
Yes. Well, I mean, I haven't really seen much of it because you release an RPG on iOS, it means I'm just not going to pay attention to it at all.
I mean, I'm not talking about the gameplay here. I don't know a lot about that, but visually it looks very, very good.
Yeah, the dioramas are like just making physical things is awesome, just in general. Like, there was a video game that came out a couple of months ago. It was made out of claymation. What was it? It was Harold Halibut. That's a complete claymation or stop motion video game. Didn't get particularly good reviews, but was very cool looking considering it's a stop motion video game. I just, make things. Making things is cool. People should craft stuff. I know this is a completely digital medium. Final Fantasy isn't real in any way. It's all ones and zeros. But, physical shit. Good stuff. Reality, cool. AI, bad. We'll talk about that later,
Every video
actually.
game is a bunch of zeros and ones when you think about it.
I mean, everything. Well, no. Actually, the real
Everything
world
digital.
is real. No. Everything we're doing
digital.
Yes, everything we're doing is ones and zeros, considering this is not my voice you're hearing. This is a recording of my voice on a thing, and it's been digitally enhanced slightly, considering I like to go and get rid of the background noise. And sometimes the various sounds of me slamming things down at the table while SomeColorMage is talking. Sorry about that a minute ago. I don't think I can get rid of that one. But it's really cool that Sakaguchi and Square Enix are back. It's back together. It's the big nostalgia band coming back together moment that we've all wanted. One final... Well, not the final bit of news. Two final bits of news. First of all, Final Fantasy XVI has had its 1-year anniversary. So Hiroshi Takai had a quote about this. He says, "Thank you to everybody who has played the game. I wish to express my gratitude to all of you on behalf of the team." Etc., etc., etc. "Thank you for continuing to support Final Fantasy XVI. He shields the DLC in this quote. And he officially announces the development team is currently hard at work on the PC edition. So that should come out sometime.
Yeah, that's probably set for this year. I don't know when, but like they did mention that they were working on it around the same time that they announced that they first announced they were working on the DLC. So,
and
which was sometime in like last quarter of last year. So, and this is Studio 3, so they're very used to PC development. So, so hopefully that won't take too long.
What I was going to say is the same thing we've said, I think, every time we've talked about Final Fantasy XVI PC, which is that in the original announcement trailer, Steam or PC was in that. And then they had to quickly walk that back. That story never stops being funny to me.
Yeah, I mean, that one's just crazy, because that was at the fucking PS5 showcase. And Sony didn't bother to check whether they did the correct version of the ending slide.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't it that like the last thing at the PlayStation 5 showcase?
That was the first thing. Was the first thing.
Okay, I don't remember. I would think you'd want to end on Final Fantasy 16, but I am biased.
Yeah, it was the very first thing.
Okay.
I remember like people joking when that shot of Clive was up. It was like, oh, this is 16. And then it zoomed out and you're like, oh wait, no, this might actually be 16. And then that's in fact what it was.
One final bit of news here is Square Enix president Kazuma Kiryu, Takashi Kiryu. We all wish we lived in a world as cool where Kazuma Kiryu was, yeah. I might just pretend that it's Kazuma Kiryu.
I don't know who that is.
The lead character of the Yakuza games. Until Ichiban takes over. The lead of Yakuza 1 through 6 and Gaiden and several other games and the half protagonist of 8, Kazuma Kiryu. Anyway, so he is walking back his AI statements from, I think it was January when this was originally, he seemed all gung-ho about it. This is reported by Automaton Media, which was translating a official shareholders discussion, where Kiryu says, AI itself has tremendous potential, however, there are many risks involved. We have introduced a flow whereby AI-related tools are used internally only after being properly examined. He's also seems to be responding to the fact that lots of people fucking hate AI and hate AI being used, and it's an easy way to get bad press on your game if you put any AI stuff in it.
Yep.
But this seems to be more of a, you know what, maybe AI is not the solution to our things. And maybe he's less excited about it. He did not mention his love of NFTs, though. No comment on that.
Well, the main problem with trying to bring up AI is that a bunch of brain dead morons, primarily on Elon Musk's shitty site, have decided that AI needs to be conflated with linked language models and similar technology, which that isn't the case. There has been AI involved in the creative process forever. Like if you're using some sort of graphical editing tool and there's a feature with the word smart in it, yeah, that uses a form of AI. Even like in a game development perspective, enemy scripting is technically AI, just a very rudimentary form. But now if you say it, everyone thinks, oh, you're making ChatGPT do the game. Not only is ChatGPT not competent enough to do anything like that, that is really not the purpose of that shit.
No, there seems to be a really interesting thing with AI, specifically with ChatGPT, where there's certain people who way underestimate what it can do and don't realize how good it is, and the other half of people massively overrate the hell out of it and think it's like the second coming of Christ, when it's not that.
Yeah, my view of AI right now is most of it seems to be, if not explicitly a scam, is at least something being pushed by tech companies in reckless and random and incredibly dumb ways. Look at Microsoft's plan that they've already had to start walking back, that they're going to have an AI take a picture of whatever you're doing on the computer every, 3 times a second or whatever, with no backup security in any way, no sort of sense, oh shit, wait a second, this has everything I'm doing, all my credit card numbers, all my various HIPAA stuff, all that, oh yeah, we'll just feed it to the AI, it's fine.
Yeah, for blatant security, if anyone here is not that technically inclined, basic security, do not buy any device that says it's Copilot Plus capable.
No.
Yeah. No. Extremely
I would say, as someone in the tech industry, people within the tech industry are so much more excited for and more bullish on AI than the general public, by far. And
okay. Executives executives in the tech industry are more bullish.
Unfortunately, it's not
I am
just
in the tech
executive. I wish.
industry, and people would mistake me for a Luddite.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I've come across several coworkers of mine who are like who they say ridiculous stuff about AI. They seem like very bullish on it. But yeah, I do agree. It's mostly executives because they think they're going to save a lot of money by laying a lot of people off. But that aside, yeah, and the basic reason for that is, people in the tech industry, we're much more forgiving when ChatGPT makes a mistake. Like if we ask ChatGPT a question and it gets it wrong, then we'll be like, oh, well, the technology, it's still work in progress. And, we'll be able to like pick up like things from its incorrect answer. Whereas the general public, so my uncle asked it a question and then it basically gave the completely wrong answer. So my uncle said, no, that's not right. Put in what the actual answer was. It apologized to him, and ever since then he decided he doesn't care about ChatGPT anymore, that it's a load of crap, right? And that's the more common audience reaction, general public.
That's been my reaction with Google going and putting AI answers at the top of my Google searches, which are complete.
And they're always wrong.
Yeah, they're complete nonsense. So I'm like, all right, well, now I want to find a different search engine because the one I've used for 20 years, that was a byword for quality. Once upon a time, people used to like have fantasies about being you're going to be the Google interns, the genius, all that shit. Made a whole bad movie about it. And now it's like, oh, here's the top of your search, complete bullshit. Turns out that company you can't trust in anyway, just throw it out. That's my opinion. Just Google can go in the garbage.
That is also the limitation of GPT and similar models. It cannot actually learn that it's wrong. Like the thing is,
well, it doesn't know anything.
They kind of work around this by trying to give GPT more memory of its recent conversations. But like, if you try to correct ChatGPT, it has a tendency of like saying, okay, yes, I am wrong. Sorry, this is the more correct information, and then just restate what it originally thought.
Yep.
Yeah, the problem is it's like you call it AI and you've already gone too far because this is intelligence by no actual means. It is.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
like it is a development in artificial intelligence, but it is not intelligent.
Yeah, let's just say like all those movies about AI taking over the world, it's not that. Like, this is
Not yet.
This thing that's been branded as artificial intelligence is not Sky.
Yeah.
It's not chatty. I'm sorry to say.
Other tech talk top tip. If you ever see someone acting like these AIs will bring forth the technological singularity, you can immediately dismiss them as an idiot.
Well, there was this Google. It was an engineer.
Even if they work for Google,
Especially if they work for Google in some cases,
Oh,
as
yeah.
it turns out.
Like,
That
there was
guy,
this
yeah.
Google engineer who got let go because he swore up and down that the AI he had created was sentient.
yeah, and
Well,
like if you read the
why are
paper
you smoking?
he put out, it just outright says these conversations are heavily edited. So you
Oh.
didn't
Oh my
do shit,
God.
mate.
Yeah, this is this reminds me of really like a really sad story, but it's like you ever heard of Coco the gorilla? The gorilla? Coco? She had sign language. There's all these stories like, she adopted a cat and she was able to have all these conversations with people. Most of that seems to be bias on the part of the researchers, like looking for what they wanted, unfortunately.
Coco's behavior seems like it actually was a demonstration of the Chinese room thought experiment, which I don't know if I need to explain it to you guys, but it's basically someone's locked in this room and they're able to communicate through like slips of paper and such, and it's in but this communication is in a language they don't understand, but they have a bunch of ways to sort of translate, but because this is the only thing they have, you can't actually tell if they understand the language or they've just sort of picked up through mimicry that something can be done to mean this thing. Like it seems like the research with Coco, she didn't really understand the sign language, but she could understand that this motion could trigger this response, so she did it. It's not an actual understanding of what she was saying.
Yeah.
Saying in air quotes.
So really all we've learned is that Alan Turing was somewhat mistaken. It's extremely easy to make a Turing machine. You just need people to be extremely credulous. And also, naturally people personify practically everything in the universe, so, you know. I think of my car as a person. Her name's Coraline. She has a pronoun. She is not intelligent in any way. She's just a car.
Yeah, human bonding is an extremely powerful force, and people people think of Roombas as pets.
Yeah. So I think that's all the news, and we will probably talk more about AI crap as that thing starts to collapse over the next year to 6 months. Considering it's probably going to end up the same way as NFT, where all the shit that got invested in it just turns out nope.
That's very optimistic.
No. I think legitimately in this case, like, there just is not a use case for this for regular people. Most businesses have no particular need for this kind of stuff. And they won't have a need for this kind of stuff for at least maybe 5 years, if it even is what it is. Nobody's ready to go and rebuild their entire workforce just on a snap of a finger like that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know that I agree with that take, but I do hope that the hype goes away, because I'm sick of the hype around.
Yeah. And I hope to get less of this shit in my various tools that I need to do my job. Like, I don't want any of this crap in my Outlook emails. Microsoft, please stop doing this. Microsoft, please stop closing studios. Please stop putting AI suggestions on how I should write my emails. I don't want this.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
We hated Clippy for a reason. All you've done is reinvent Clippy. Congratulations. Alright, so should we move on to our main topic then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fun topics ahead.
Alright, so this June was whatever E3 is. So I guess we should just talk about what video games we thought were cool.
Sweet. So I think we all agreed, or we might all be agreed. I don't know. But I think it's clear, at least to me, that Nintendo won E3 this year.
Oh, Nintendo won. Okay, yes, that is pretty much by default, really.
Yeah,
like
year.
Nintendo
Like,
could
no
have
one
put
really
out.
came close.
Nintendo could have put out a much worse show than they did, and still come out at top. Like before that Nintendo show, I was honestly thinking best in show was Ubisoft, and while there was one thing in Ubisoft I really liked, that's a condemnation of the industry. Like Ubisoft is a company that's pretty much defined by competent but bland. Like, I can see things there, and I mean, this is going to be my basic bitch opinion of this E3, but I did like the Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer. But like, you're not expecting greatness, and they kind of set a bar line that studios that are trying to be much more creative, inventive, should be able to surpass. And that did not happen.
Yeah, I respect that opinion, actually, because I like Assassin's Creed too. I haven't played them in a minute, but I'm basically waiting for the next one to come out that has really good reviews, and then I'll be like, oh, it's safe to play Assassin's Creed again. Right, that's where I'm at with it. But the one I did like from the Ubisoft one is Star Wars Outlaws, right? I think that is the kind of game they should have made a long time ago. A Star Wars game that's not just about the Jedi and is about, just something else, because there's so much more to explore in that universe, right? I know that ages back they were making a Boba Fett game called Star Wars 1313.
No, that wasn't Boba Fett in that one.
It wasn't originally Boba Fett, but then they changed their mind last minute and they wanted it to be Boba Fett.
Okay, because he's not in the trailer that everyone saw.
He's not. That's right. They couldn't get him in time for the trailer.
Also, if I can just quickly add, Star Wars Outlaws managing to unintentionally throw giant fucking shade on Starfield by having seamless transitions from space to planet.
Oh yeah. That's just hilarious.
It throws a ton of shade on EA, Electronic Arts, because this is the game they were trying to make for, 7 years and completely were unsuccessful at it. Mm-hmm. There were 2 different games. Ragtag and something else.
That's the kind of thing that Ubisoft's good at. Like, that is their main skill. They can actually make really good open worlds. Although the problem with that field is that they do it because, they have an office in nearly every country in the planet, and they all work on every single game.
Well, Ubisoft is reliable. Like, if you want a video game made, Ubisoft is a reliable company to actually get the thing done, unless you're talking Skull and Bones, which took a decade and no one cares about. If you want a game to not get made, you go to Electronic Arts, as seen in, say, the new trailer for Dragon Age, which should have come out 8 years ago, but they canceled it multiple times. Dragon Age 4, I think that is. But
how does BioWare still exist? I think they've had a string of fuck-ups that are a lot longer than EA is usually willing to tolerate.
But I mean, I have such a soft spot for BioWare just because I love
Anthem's last game, Anthem, I think.
No, it can't possibly be Anthem, can it?
No, they had I could have sworn they did something after Anthem.
I know they did Mass Effect Andromeda, which was a disaster. They did Anthem, which was a disaster. Their last actual release was a Mass Effect Trilogy, remake. Which I have. I never actually played it.
That doesn't count.
Well,
that's just...
No, it doesn't. Not really.
It doesn't, but yeah. I mean, I loved when they came out with that. Because I love any excuse to replay those games. So as far as the Ubisoft one goes, I mean, Outlaws was decent.
Outlaws does look like everything you could want out of a Star Wars action adventure.
So let's hope it turns out good. Right? Yeah, I mean, Star Wars deserves much better games than it's gotten.
How about one of us makes a call, then we'll move down the list. So, Techno, you got yours. When you're done, we'll go to SomeColorMage, then we'll go to me.
Okay. When you say makes a call, are you in about
when you name a game that you're excited about, and when you're done.
Okay.
You pass.
Okay. There's not much to say about this one, but it's going to be my number one anyway, and that's Metal Gear Solid 3. We're finally seeing more footage of it, and it basically is the Crash Insane trilogy version of Metal Gear Solid 3, which is they've kept pretty much everything as it was, but just up the graphics. And I feel like that's the exact way to remake Metal Gear Solid 3, just because of how good that game is, how far ahead of its time it was. And I wouldn't change anything about the story, because I would not trust anyone to change anything about that story. I'm not saying it's it's perfect or whatever. I'm just saying that with how good it was and how easy it is to fuck it up, I wouldn't trust anyone to touch anything about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm all over it. I'm so happy with how it looks to be shaping up. I'm happy David Hayter came back. Guy deserves justice. Best Solid Snake. Best Big Boss. Yeah, so fingers crossed for that. But it looks like it might, it might actually be good. I'm really hoping it will be.
So pass.
Yep.
Okay, so Let's see. The first thing I can think of that wasn't a Square Enix thing. So like the Nintendo Direct started with the surprise reveal that the Mario and Luigi RPGs are back, and this one brothership looked pretty good. Mario and Luigi. I mean, all of the Mario RPGs had a hard time, but like Mario and Luigi kind of lost footing during the 3DS ones, and then the remake of Bowser's Inside Story tanked so badly that it killed the dev team, Alpha Dream, and also caused Nintendo to kill the 3DS like a year earlier than they were intending to, because like they just we if this is killing studios, we cannot continue to support this, everyone, and like or send out an all-point bulletin to all the first and second party studios. If you have something in development for 3DS, you either change to Switch or cancel it.
Yeah. Once you go to Switch, you cannot go back to 3DS. I can say this out of my own experience. Like, I tried to play, what was it? Shin Megami Tensei, the one in the South Pole. Strange Journey.
Yeah.
Unplayable on the 3DS after I've been playing the Switch for even just a few months. I'm like, I can't do this. Cannot do it. The screen's too small. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Nintendo does have this kind of thing with hardware they're unsure of, that they do try to continue pushing the previous line for a while. So Nintendo was doing that because the Switch was explicitly a Wii U successor that could also do the niche that the DS line was falling into. So they're saying, oh, we'll do Switch and 3DS for a while. And then the Switch completely cannibalized the 3DS.
Yep.
The Nintendo Showcase seems to be one of those instances of, you know, when a console is basically like its last few years are up, so they go out with their last hurrah, and then all the best games on that console all come out in the last 2 years. That was the vibe I got from the Switch.
Right, because the Switch 2 is coming out next year.
Yeah.
I think they've officially accepted that's the reality, because Nintendo's been very cagey about it. Like, no, we didn't show the Switch 2 at Gamescom. No. Everyone that reported it.
Yes, a couple. I forget when it was, but a month or two back, the president of Nintendo explicitly said on Twitter, "Yes, our next hardware is coming next year. We won't reveal it for a while, but it is a thing." And like, if you look at the description of the Nintendo Direct, it like explicitly says, "We are not talking about the successor to the Nintendo Switch in this event." So like so yes, they are now open about it being a thing. They're just not. They just don't want to actually reveal what it is yet.
The Switch was a console that I, in theory, should have got a lot more mileage out of than I did. I hope the Switch 2 is better. I'm looking forward to it. Right, because I'm not saying the Switch is a bad console. Like, not by any means. It's just for whatever reason, I couldn't get that much mileage out of it.
I don't know how. The Switch is the greatest gaming device I have ever owned. Without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who love the Switch, and I get it. Like, you know, it's a really good device. It's just for me, like, other than basically the Nintendo exclusive games, I found that whenever I got a game on the Switch, I just wanted to play it on PS5 instead.
It's
I actually own Final Fantasy 10 and 12 on the Switch because, in theory, the idea of me taking it anywhere and being able to play those wherever I wanted seemed great, except that I never wanted to pull out my Switch whenever I was going out anywhere because it was like, you know, too big. It was too big to use as a handheld in that scenario.
It is great for indie, pixely, like 2D games. Like, I'm playing Animal Well on it right now, and it's a freaking great time.
Oh, it's brilliant for those. Yeah, it's just that, to me, it makes too many compromises as a handheld, and too many compromises as a home console, and that's why I couldn't get that much mileage out of it. But I respect everyone who likes and plays the Nintendo Switch because it is a good system.
Okay, but like anyway, Mario and Luigi Brothers ship. It looked good. The gameplay they showed looked very much like those older Mario and Luigi games. Those are very good. Almost had a pop-off moment when I saw original characters, which has been a problem with Mario RPGs during the 3DS and Wii U era. So looks good. Blue, your turn.
Okay. So that was Mario Luigi, problematic Yowie. My next My next game...
That is an incredible name, yes.
Yes, it is an incredible name. My game is, of course, and it must be, The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. The first Zelda game starring Zelda since the Philips CDI with Wand of Gamelon and... I forget what the other one was called. Horrible video games, horrible game console. I've never played them, never will. But this is a Zelda proper game made by Nintendo. The trailer starts with Link getting sucked into some purple stuff. And that means that Zelda herself must go on an adventure, summoning tables to defeat enemies. Specifically tables for some reason. Like, supposedly there's going to be this big grand power of... she can go and copy anything in the world, and it'll have this sophisticated and elaborate, almost Tears of the Kingdom, technical, system-level stuff. But really, I just want her to summon tables and, throw enemies through them. Possibly through the Spanish announcer's table.
Yeah, that's, yes, I definitely saw an explosion of people finding common ground between... Zelda's newfound ability to conjure tables and Aerith smacking people with a steel chair.
Yes, exactly. And this is the first top-down Zelda game since the 3DS. The last one was Link Between Worlds.
The first brand new one, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was a Link's Awakening remake, which this is in the graphical style of.
It is, yes, also in the graphical style of this. One of my things I was complaining about, I gave a short review of Tears of the Kingdom for my end of the year wrap up, was like, we just don't get that many Zelda games anymore. Like, it was brutal. No matter what it is, like a 7-year wait between Zelda games is just, that's unthinkable. Like, when I was in my teen years, there's going to be a Zelda game every year or year and every 2 years. You always had the handheld ones to go and fill in the space between the big 3D ones. And basically just Nintendo didn't do any of that stuff. And
yeah, and that is especially stinging to me because I ended up not really liking Tears of the Kingdom that much because I know that a lot of the Legend of Zelda leads don't care that much about story. That's fine. You don't need a very significant detailed story, but you gotta do better than telling the same fifth of the story 5 times in a row and then it's time for the ending.
And the story has multiple basically plot holes which are never really properly explained. The whole thing is very confusing and unsatisfying. You don't get nearly enough Ganondorf as you'd like. Basically, Zelda has all the plot that happens in the game. It's her, but you don't get to play as Zelda in that game. You're playing as Link. And it's funny because, Ayanuma, I think every time he's done a meeting, an interview of anybody in the press for, the last decade, the question has always been, so can we play as Zelda this time? Can we play as Zelda this time? Can we play as Zelda this time? And every time he's been like, play as Zelda? Why would anyone want to play as Zelda? I don't understand this. You can play as Link in my video games. And, you would think, oh, this is just never going to happen. And then suddenly this game comes out. It's like, oh, all right, here we go. We're doing it. And hopefully it won't be boring like that Princess Peach game was. That game I played the demo of, and I'm sorry to say, it's like a Kirby game. It's just really, really boring.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That looked fairly forgettable. I'm sure it's technically fine and stuff because Nintendo has a tendency to be at least competent if it's not memorable. But the thing is, that's like the second big game starring Princess Peach, and the first one, I mean, that's also kind of forgettable, but at least people will remember that the English translation just ended with a giant vibrator joke.
Oh, man.
That was what I came back on, seriously?
Oh, yeah, Techno stepped out for a second.
Oh, no, I was listening to the whole thing through my earbuds.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have any commentary on Zelda.
Yeah.
Because the only one I played was Breath of the Wild, which I did really like, but I know it's the other Zeldas are like nothing like that.
Yeah, that's that.
And,
yeah, we can't get into we can't get into Zelda discourse right now. I think I'm gonna pass. Actually, Techno, you want to take your next?
Just as one final note, if Nintendo's new direction for the series is basically Nintendo branded Gary's Mod, that's fine. They just need to have some sort of directive force to it. I don't believe that the wide open sandbox is particularly a great model for the series.
Okay, pass.
So yes, now Techno, go ahead.
Right, so I'm a sucker for platformers. I can't get enough platformers, right? I think it's the best, it's one of the best genres of video games ever made. And I'm always going to like new ones that come out. So, below Metal Gear Solid 3, my second favorite game from the quote-unquote E3, Astrobot.
Oh, you fucker. You took it? Damn it, I wanted this one.
I was waiting for one of us to say that.
Oh, that's my second.
It was on all three of our lists. I knew that was on all three of our lists because both of you posted in the Discord channel gifs of Astro dancing.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I just think this game looks like it's got so much charm to it. And I will say, Sony have really struggled to have a mascot. They've had 5 different... they've had 10 different mascots over their time, The PS1, you had Crash Bandicoot. The PS2, you kind of had Ratchet and Clank, but did you, though? Right? And then PS3...
You also had Jak and Daxter in that era.
Well, that's the thing, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter both came out at the same time, so it's did they want to give favoritism to one of the three? But, then PS3, you had Sackboy, undisputably. Then PS4, you didn't really have one. I guess you had Knack, but Knack didn't do well enough for it to constitute a mascot. And now we have Astrobot. And I just think this game looks delightful. And by the way, there was some stuff that people have picked up on where it's I can see some Sly in there. I can see some Sly Cooper. Or I can see some Jak and Daxter in there. There's some Ratchet and Clank in there. So it looks like it's also, in a way, a love letter to other platformers of PlayStation's past. Maybe even other series of PlayStation past. Who knows? Maybe someone will find a Horizon reference or a God of War reference in there. Right? But I just think this game looks delightful. I think it looks so much fun. I'm all for it. I have not played Astro's Playworld, even though it's free. I never got around to it.
You should play that right now. Because that's a packing game on the PlayStation 5. It is, until 7 Rebirth, it is the best single video game on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
It's also just a very solid demonstration of the dual senses capabilities that most games, even Sony's own games, don't really get into.
Yeah, so I think Astrobot. I'm gonna really really enjoy that. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
I really really love a video game called Super Mario Brothers 3D World. And that is...
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That is a fantastic game. It is on the Wii U and also on the Switch. Astrobot is probably the closest thing I can say is similar to that experience. I think that might
Mario
be
Galaxy stole this whole deal from Ratchet and Clank.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't. You don't even have a gun in that game.
The whole thing with spherical worlds came from Ratchet and Clank. That was a Ratchet and Clank thing first.
Most worlds are spherical. That's how physics work.
No, but you know
Yeah,
what
but
I
these
mean,
worlds
man.
do not have enough mass to possibly... Well, actually they do, is the crazy thing. They're all King Kai planets. They have to have that much mass, considering Mario falls to them at speeds of 1G. So they must all be as massive as Earth, right?
And that gimmick came from Ratchet and Clank.
Alright, well...
It was first introduced in Ratchet and Clank 2.
Okay, but that's not what that whole game is. Mario is the OG of platformers. So they can go and do...
No, absolutely, absolutely. Like, you know, you can find things in other games that copied, you know, like Jak and Daxter, for example, several things copied Mario.
I'm gonna look into this. I'll accept if I'm wrong on this and you were right for once.
Copied Zelda. Okay.
Shit.
Yeah.
Clank.
But yeah. But yeah, so Astrobot, very good game. Or by the looks of it. I wanna get it.
Like Astrobot, I said this, I'm pretty sure I said this last podcast episode that I did prefer it when Sony was just willing to do anything and be weird about it. That's not what Astrobot is, but it's got a similar sense of whimsy to it. Because Astro's Playroom is just delightful aesthetically. It looks very nice. It's got all of these little references and jokes about the series history. They actually updated Astro's Playroom after this announcement, both to add a blatant shilling of Astrobot. There's like a new door that's like a countdown to Astrobot's release. So you go into it, you go to the PS Store, but also added some secret challenges and also added a bunch of PlayStation 5 peripherals because since Techno hasn't played it, I can explain it. One of the things you're doing in Astro's Playroom is exploring the world, finding artifacts, which are all Sony devices. And so, like, there are 4 worlds, and each one is themed after. Well, it's themed after a part of a computer system, but it's also themed after a specific console generation. So you go to one area, there's a bunch of PlayStation 1 consoles and peripherals. The next area, PlayStation 2 and 3 and 4 area, and then there's this final boss. There's this final boss after which it rewards you with like, here's the DualSense, here's the PlayStation 5 camera, here's the PlayStation 5.
Oh wow.
And the final boss is a dinosaur from a demo of the original PlayStation from like '94 or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also they do make very, very dumb jokes about it. Like there's this fun I always remember where like most of the alternate builder stuff, like the non-original versions of consoles, are in this gacha machine. And what? So like in the gacha machine, one of the things you can get from a pool is the PlayStation 3 Slim, and it's like, it can't get any smaller than this. The thing is specifically coded so that the next pool is rigged to be the PlayStation 3 Super Slim.
Alright, so it looks like Ratchet & Clank 2 had gravity boots, which allow you to walk on walls, but it doesn't look like it had planets and like a gravity simulation.
It does.
It does?
It does. Yeah, there's the first one is called, alright, it's on the Macpar Resort one. I think it's just called Gospel-esque Jamming Array.
You know, I'll just choose to believe you. You're right this time.
It's this one. I'm gonna link it.
Okay.
It's this one. That's the first ever like spherical world they did. And then they also did the stuff with the gravity boots.
Oh, I see. Alright, so this is like a mini spherical world. Okay, so Ratchet & Clank was innovative in its own ways.
Yep.
I've always thought...
and I'm not saying that necessarily Nintendo specifically played that game and took it. You know, it's entirely possible that they just came up with it on their own, and it just so happened to be something that Ratchet and Clank had already done. But you know, that's the example I always point to, where like the two series very clearly like take from one another. Maybe Ratchet more so than Mario.
Okay. Gravity. Mario Galaxy has some really sophisticated gravity simulation happening in it, though.
Oh, it does.
Like, you can do, like, the 3-body problem demonstrated in the way that system works. What are we talking about and why?
So we were on Astrobot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and that was Techno's one. So should we pass back to SomeColorMage then?
Yeah, okay, so for this one, I'll just very quickly go through the basic bitch opinion I mentioned earlier. Look, you guys know that I'm the Homestuck fan. I like overly complicated narrative, so I do still like Assassin's Creed as it goes really fucking stupid. So, like, all you need to do to win me over there is show that you're actually trying with the stealth gameplay and like, while the start of that Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay trailer is just, oh, this is Valhalla again, then they showed the stealth, and that was really good. That looked even better than Mirage. So,
what about Assassin's Creed is Homestucky though? I'm intrigued now in a way that series has never been interesting.
The modern day narrative is very stupid and overly convoluted. Like, it also doesn't help that it's told in a completely incomprehensible way. Like there's a bit where there was a gap in the games they put out, so they just resolved a bunch of plot points in, like, feature films and comic books that almost never come up in the games again. And so through their own incompetence, it becomes this puzzle that you go kind of piece together for yourself.
So it's a cool meta narrative by accident.
Yes.
Though in Black Flag, I remember this distinctly because the sections were really, really irritating, but still interesting in their own way. Of working at Ubisoft effectively is what the meta narrative is, and it is presented as being just this horrible dystopian nightmare state. And unsurprisingly, it came out years later that Ubisoft was full of abuse and dystopian nightmare state shit going on inside them. So, like
Rogue's modern day part is set in the same studio, and like at the end of that, you're forced to join the Templars at gunpoint. They're not very, like, they're not like it. So someone on the writing team decided that they did not want to be subtle for that period.
A fun game is to look up a random historical figure, any figure you want, like Karl Marx, Templar or assassin. Pretty sure Marx is an assassin. Emperor Napoleon III, Templar. You know, that kind of nonsense. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Like, you can go and take the entirety of human history and decide to turn it into a binary conflict between... Actually, I don't even know what the two factions even represent anymore. But really, the entirety of human discourse and discussion. It's binary. It's light and black.
It's order versus freedom.
It's... As a history major, I am offended in some ways. But also, I appreciate the audacity of this level of nonsense.
Like, it even gets funnier when they inevitably trap themselves in the thing, because, Assassin's Creed 2, people might remember that that one of the activities were, like, these bunch of puzzles, and they get increasingly more batshit, just showing how everything is interlinked to the conflict between the Assassins and Templars and the evolution of human by the ancient precursor species. And, like, already by Assassin's Creed 3, they're desperately having to undo parts because, oh shit, we're doing a game set in the American Revolution, and we implied that George Washington was a Templar.
Oops. My bad. Yeah, but that's the new one's the one set in Japan, right? People are mad that one of the playable characters is an African samurai.
Who was a real person. Yasuke is documented, and people will get caught up on the definition of samurai, but the word samurai kind of went under the same definitional degradation that knight did in English. Basically, dude knew how to use a sword and was under the employ of Oda Nobunaga. By the standards of the 16th century, he probably was a samurai.
It's
Also-
interesting because people have been asking them to make an Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan for so long now. It's been the most common request.
And it's one that the original leads were kind of insistent that they didn't want to do. And,
Right.
It's been about 16 years now. There's the creator of the series, I'm pretty sure, no longer works at Ubisoft, and Ubisoft is by necessity, by having a studio in nearly every country, going to have a lot of staff churn at the top.
Yeah, but it's like they Sucker Punch made Ghost of Tsushima precisely because they knew, well, I don't know this for certain, but it seems like that game was basically saying, oh, everyone wants an Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan, but Ubisoft aren't making it. Let's just make it. Like, that's effectively what Ghost of Tsushima is. It's Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan, but in my opinion, a lot better, right? And so the fact that they're finally doing it is kind of wild.
There is sometimes a bit of follow the leader going on with settings, because Valhalla was announced in a period where there was more interest than usual in the Viking Age. So,
I mean, they're doing this perfectly considering Shogun was just on Hulu and FX, and that was a damn good show. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of interest in samurai stuff lately.
Mm-hmm.
And that also stars a non-Japanese interloper. Not in Nobunaga's court, in the court of... This annoys me, because that show changes the names of everybody. So now I'm, confused as to what people's real names are and what they aren't. Yasumi... Oh, my God. No, Tokugawa. It's Tokugawa. I don't remember his first name.
Yeah.
Something Tokugawa. Pass?
Pass.
Okay. Alright, so I think that's all... Oh, you know what? I have one more AAA game we can talk about. Perfect Dark. This is at Xbox.
Oh, yes.
Boo, Xbox. Boo, Microsoft bad. Boo. Even accepting that, Perfect Dark looked really damn good from what they showed. Turns out that their interpretation of a Nintendo 64 FPS game that... honestly, I'm not sure all that many people have played, is to turn it into an immersive sim. And honestly, this trailer looks so good that I don't really believe it. Xbox released a lot of stuff, and we're like, yeah, that's going to be out 2025. Don't believe them when they say that. Most of those games are probably not going to make 2025. This game doesn't even have a release date, and it's had a wild and weird production already.
Yeah.
Because
it was also funny that later at the Nintendo Direct they announced that the Switch's Virtual Console thing gets the new mature Nintendo 64 app, which
you need a new app to play that game.
They're just putting Perfect Dark on it.
Yeah. Yeah, they must have been aware that was going to be there. What was I saying? Yeah. So, Xbox made a brand new studio to make this game, The Initiative, which was going to be their big, we're going to go make Naughty Dog-style narrative games. And this game, or this new production, was so problematic that I think Crystal Dynamics is listed as basically co-developers now.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Dynamics, who did, most recently, the Avengers game, which was good, except for the parts that they had to make it a gas, games as a service shit. I believe in them as being quite a team that could do things. They really should get Eidos Montreal on this, considering they were doing Deus Ex, and this looks like a Deus Ex game. This kind of looks like what I wanted the Cyberpunk game to be in terms of doing Cyberpunk stuff, but that game really wasn't that sort of thing. I don't like that Cyberpunk game. So if that game's real, I'm excited for it. But Xbox still bad. I hate looking at Matt Booty on a stream. I think these guys are full of shit at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm pissed off about you guys shutting down studios.
Yeah,
So
at this point, when you see a first-party Microsoft game that you like, there's kind of a just like an intrusive thought that, oh, what if this doesn't end up doing that well, and Microsoft just kills the studio?
yeah, like if Avowed doesn't sell 4 million copies, which it's not going to, is that it for those guys? You know, they made Pentiment. That's a good studio. They've made interesting games. It's like, nope, Avowed didn't really sell that well. Yeah, fuck off. We need to go and settle. Obsidian is the studio. We need to go settle our books because we bought all of our Activision. So
Activision.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most embarrassing eras in gaming history, because so many people were trying to act like this is the greatest thing ever, while meanwhile anyone who understands economics in even the vaguest terms, how are Microsoft going to afford this? This is an expensive as hell purchase. And then come around Microsoft's financial report. True enough, the investors look at the numbers. Why the fuck did you spend something roughly equal to half of your profits in the last year on a studio that isn't like a gigantic sector for you? Cue the panic.
Yeah. Them shutting down the Hi-Fi Rush developers. One of the few bright spots in Microsoft's portfolio. So, and then it's like, oh, well, if Avowed even does sell 4 million copies, maybe they'll have to shut this studio down. So, yeah, it's an ugly, nasty place down in Xbox land. And that game looks good, at least, and clearly they've spent too much for them to cancel it, so I guess we'll play that at some point in the future. Pass.
Tango?
Oh, what? Oh, it's my...
Your turn.
Yeah. How many more runs do you guys want to do? Do you want to do, like, one more?
Well, unless you want me to start being a hater, I've only really got one more left in me.
Okay, let's do one more run, then.
Oh, one more. Okay.
Yeah.
See, as far as what I'd be most interested in, the next one is going to be Civilization 7, but there's nothing to say about it except that it exists.
All right, let's not do that one, then.
Let's not do that one. Let's instead do Metroid Prime 4. Right.
Yes.
I did say that I haven't got a lot of mileage out of my Switch, but the Switch was the first home Nintendo console I ever owned, right? And I was so excited to play all the different games. Then Mario Odyssey, it was alright. It wasn't as good as I've told that, for example, Mario 64 was. Or what's that other one? The one that came out in GameCube that everyone really liked?
Sunshine.
Although I wouldn't say people liked it. That's.
Oh, do you reckon they didn't?
That's kind of one of the controversial ones.
It's controversial in terms of like online discourse. People love that game.
And it's also like even with that Mario Anniversary cartridge for the Switch that had like 64 and Sunshine and Galaxy on it. Sunshine was still really damn glitchy. Like that was an underbaked game when it first came out, and it still feels underbaked.
I gotcha. Okay.
I disagree. But...
but long story short, first home console I owned, Mario Odyssey. It was good. It didn't live up to what I've been told are the heights of Mario. Right. Zelda Breath of the Wild, like I just said earlier, brilliant game. But it's so different from what the other Zeldas are like that I didn't feel like I got a full Zelda experience properly, right? The game that I was excited for, the one big Nintendo franchise that I have yet to play, is the Metroid series, right? I've heard so much about this series, so much about how good Prime apparently was, and I've also heard that, it has this series just has a really interesting history to it. Oh, I mean, I played Smash Brothers, of course, and so I know who Samus is. right?
Mhm.
I know the general bits about the history, but I've always really wanted to know, what these games play like and, what it's all about. And I feel like the fact that this has taken so long means they must be cooking up something decent. I hope
Like
that's
it's
the
also
case.
one where they restarted development. Like Prime is
Yeah.
very much the baby of Retro Studios, and
Mm.
halfway through the development, Nintendo outright announced, "Yeah, this wasn't coming together. We've given the series back to Retro Studios."
And also, if you're
Right,
like
okay.
interested in getting into the Prime games, they did remake Metroid Prime 1 last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they
I
did,
will
did they?
say, the Prime 4 trailer looked like it was punching above its weight for the Nintendo Switch, but at the same time, the Prime 1 remaster punched above its weight. That looked that looked and ran better than I would expect a Switch game to.
One other
Gotcha,
thing, if
okay.
you're interested in like Metroid as a series, I really recommend Metroid Dread. That's like
Dread
the
rules.
Dread rules. It is the best 2D Metroid game. Better than Super
Okay,
Metroid.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
very hot
interesting.
take. Super Metroid is a beloved game. Metroid Dread's better.
Okay, right. So, so long story short, I've always been curious about the Metroid series, always wanted to try it. And, I'm looking forward to what Metroid Prime 4 will turn out as, and if it does turn out to be really good, then I'll look back on my Nintendo Switch and say, you know what, I had a good run with it, right? Like, I'm not disappointed with it or anything. It's just that it could have been even bigger than it was for me, if that makes sense. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to Metroid Prime 4, and I'm happy with finally hearing stuff about it. Yeah, the close, like the runner-up for me from the Nintendo Switch event thing, Mario Party Jamboree, because like I've played Mario Party, one of the old ones, like quite a bit now. I really like those games, and so that's another one where I hope it's just a normal Mario Party, and I hope it's really good.
Pass.
Right. Okay, so my last one, because like I should have had Prime 4 on the list, but I actually forgot about that. Whoops. But my last one, the Talos Principle 2, good game. They announced an expansion. It's already out. I've played a bit of it. It is more of the same interesting concepts. I haven't got far at it because this expansion is split into 3 smaller parts, and the first one, like the base puzzles are easy, and then at the very end is like, oh, here are 3 extra hard puzzles, and wow, those are definitely extra hard. And I just think that the Talos Principle 1 and 2 are both very good games. The Devolver Direct in general was a really funny show for the course for Devolver, but I don't really have much more to say. Pass.
Okay. I have, let's say... Alright, so there was also the Steam Next Fest, which had a whole bunch of demos, which I strongly recommend that you take up if you have access to Steam. It's sometimes better to play a game for a few hours than to just watch a trailer to know what it's going to be like. Some games look really cool, and then you actually start to play them, and they are absolute dog shit, and you don't want to actually play them, and don't waste your money. So I'm going to do 2 demos, because it's my show, as far as I know. You all can outvote me on this, but go ahead. So these are 2 really cool demos I played. One is Arranger, a role puzzling adventure. This is a top-down, sort of Zelda-y game, where you play as Gemma, and your power is that you make the world turn. So each step you make moves the entire row or column you're on. So basically the entire world is like a Rubik's Cube, and every step you make moves it 1 step forward. You do not have items. You instead have a sword in the path that you need to move down to hit an enemy with. So it's a lot of puzzles, it's a lot of things like that. It starts out very classic RPG style where you're in your opening town and it's your farewell and you got to go visit like 2-3 people. And then you go into an opening dungeon and there's some sort of bad thing taking over the world. I don't know much more beyond that. It is funny because when you move around, you kind of fuck up everyone's house. So like you're removing their furniture, or you can start pushing their like wooden floors outside, and you can drag it all the way across the village. There's one dude with a ladder, and when you walk up towards him, you knock his ladder down, and he gets pissed off at you. It's like, God damn it, why do you have to come this way? Your very existence disrupts the universe. We hate you here. Poor Gemma. The other one is Demonschool. Who here played the original Persona 1 on PlayStation?
I haven't played it, but I know how it plays.
Which one, sorry?
This is Persona 1.
No, I ain't played that.
Okay. So that's the first Shin Megami Tensei Persona game. This one and 2 play very different than 3, 4, and 5. That one had kind of a Tactics E element to it. Demonschool is an indie game playing off it. It's by Necrosoft Games. This one is much more of an isometric tactics game, where you and a group of, I guess they're teenagers, but they're college students, because why have high schoolers? You know, it's, I don't know. You go and you have demons in your school, and you have tactics turn-based combat, which is actually really, really damn good. And I started playing this demo, and I turned the demo off within 10 minutes, because I realized this game I'm going to love. And I need to stop playing the demo. I need to just experience the entire thing. So this is out in September 13th. Highest recommendation from what I've seen so far. It looks damn good.
Good stuff.
Also, the original Persona is not a very good video game, so playing off of it, I think there's space to build off of it. It's really unbalanced. I could not finish it.
Yeah, and like, yeah, say you said 3, 4, 5 are different. The Persona 2 games, because Persona 2 is a two-parter.
Oh yeah,
they also play very differently from Persona 1.
Oh, they do? I never even got that far. Because Persona 1 was remade on PSP. I don't know if 2 ever came out in the US, those remakes.
So with the translations, the first half, its PSX version wasn't translated, but its PSP version was. And for the second half, its PS2 version was translated, but its PSP version wasn't.
God, what a mess.
And of course, the PSP versions had a save transfer, so like, if you want to play in English, you're kind of fucked on that ground.
I am sure that somebody has done the work to make this work. If somebody did the work to make Type 0 PSP playable in the US, a 2-disc game playable, fully downloadable. I'm not going to say who did that work or who here may have played that version. It's probably possible for you to transfer save between those things.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure there are translation patches out by now.
Yeah.
It has been a while since the PSP.
Persona 2's final boss, I'm not sure which version. The final boss is Hitler with sunglasses.
First half, yeah. Yeah.
Here's Hitler.
Yes, and like, yeah, the PSP version, like, that was funny because like, if we leave this as is, we're not going to be allowed to sell in Germany. Okay, we'll just call him the Führer. Put sunglasses on him.
Yeah, it's like Mr. It's like Mr. Histler in Hoi 4 mods, where you can have Hitler take over Argentina. One other thing on Demonschool, I forgot to actually describe the tactics combat. It's not like a character makes a turn and then it's the enemy turns. It's you get to move your entire party and you plan out. There's like a planning stage, so you can go and decide the optimal move to annihilate as many enemies as possible. So every single move is basically a puzzle of optimization. And I think it's sick as hell. So that's that. There are video games coming out in the rest of 2024 and beyond that will be games.
Yeah, so I think we've pretty much exhausted our list.
Yeah.
Unless you want me to talk about what I thought the worst show was.
You want to? Do you want to do worst game for whatever reason? All right,
Actually,
you teased.
Let's try. Techno, do you? Okay, I'll go first. This isn't worst game; it's worst show.
Okay.
Your club games, your show was basically the fucking Spaceballs merchandising bit, but unironic. What the fuck was that?
I'm sorry. What game is this?
Yacht Club. It was the Yacht Club Games show, the people behind Shovel Knight. And
okay.
While they do have a game coming up, Mina the Hollower, a large chunk of that show was like Shovel Knight the restaurant, Shovel Knight the For Honor Berserker tattoo, Shovel Knight the just tons of fucking crossovers and merchandise that was just rapid fire and like I say, it's basically unironically the Spaceballs merchandising where the real money is made bit.
You know what? I can't fault them with the way the economy is in games. And Shovel Knight has always been kind of a whore. He shows up in every indie game where they do any indie crossovers whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's kind of gauche to pay attention to it like that.
Whatever it takes to get Mina the Hollower out, because that game looks awesome, and we didn't really get new stuff for that. And I think it's already missed its original target for release date, and it's not even. I think like the target's now like vague 2024, 2025.
Like I believe at some point they said that like the Kickstarter target was never meant to be a target. That's just the latest. It's just required by Kickstarter, and that was the latest they were allowed to put in at the time.
Oh, okay. Techno, you have anything you want to be hater on?
Well, here's the thing. I feel harsh hating on this game. Like, I feel harsh about it. Right. But I'm not going to say, like, worst game, but definitely, like, biggest disappointment when I figured out what it was. And, like, probably going to go down as not doing very well. That one, Games as a Service game, the, like, MOBA shooter thingy. That's at the start of Sony's conference, right?
Oh, Concord.
That's the one, yeah. Where, like, the characters are really stylized and... Yeah, I mean, you know, the dialogue is a little bit marvelized, but that aside, you know, it felt like his characters with an actual personality to them, and felt like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do with this, right? And I was really curious about it until I figured out, oh no, it's basically just Sony's version of Overwatch. And I'm just like, do we really need another one of those? Like, so in the end, I went from being really intrigued by it to being thinking, oh, this really isn't for me. And again, I feel harsh, like, hating on that game, because I'm sure it was made with really good intentions, and I'm sure that, you know, there was some real creativity behind it, but as it stands, it goes down as, like, the one that was most memorable to me for something that I will not end up playing.
Yeah, that game feels like they missed the boat on trends so quickly. Like, when it was originally thought up, it's like, oh, people want these MOBA hero shooters. People want this MCU Joss Whedon dialogue shit. And then by the time it actually releases...
We have Guardians of the Galaxy at home.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, nobody's down for this. People are so tired of that sort of stuff. And releasing a MOBA... releasing a multiplayer game in 2024 is such a devastating risk at this point. I would not do it if I had money. I would bet my money on literally anything else, because it's a good way for your game to crash and burn and die horribly.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Like, you know, the two biggest trends that were, like, you know, huge a few years ago, and now they've been so, like, heavily done to death. And yeah, I really fail to see where the game's gonna pick up its market. I really do. I just feel really bad for the developers, because I'm sure they had, like, really good ideas for it too, and it looks like, you know, they really tried. But again, they're hopping on, like, trends that people are sick of already.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, where's the market share gonna come from?
I don't know. People don't even like Overwatch as it is. Who's going to want another one?
Well, I mean, I guess you could argue it could be a Final Fantasy 14 situation where, like, World of Warcraft is not doing well anymore. Everyone jumps ship to Final Fantasy 14. Like, that's the only thing I can think
but
of.
like that also wasn't something intentional on their parts, which can be evidenced by the fact that didn't happen until Shadowbringers.
Right, yeah,
Well,
that happened, like, way over time.
Another big problem for this game is that there's also a Marvel Overwatch coming out, and that was shown in the same Sony press conference.
In the same thing,
and I thought that game looked better.
Yeah, it did. Like, I'm not interested in that one either, but yeah, it looked better.
Yep.
Like, if I'm going to go back to Overwatch, I'm not going to go back to Overwatch because the Overwatch I liked is dead and is never going to come back. But I could play that Marvel game. There's a female Galacticus. Weirdly hot female Galacticus. That's something. Do we pass to me?
Yeah.
We'll wrap up here.
Yep. Let's pass at this point.
Okay.
Not much more to say on it.
If we have to shit on something from quote-unquote E3 of 2024, we need to talk about this. This is the Dragon Age The Veilguard trailer, which was shown at the Keighley event. This was... not even necessarily that the game itself looks bad, because I saw further gameplay for this. And I'm not even a Dragon Age guy. Like, I tried playing the first game. It wasn't for me. It's fine. Dragon Age people are very, very into that thing, and I'm happy for them. The trailer they showed was so weird and so confusing. It looked like a hero shooter. It looked like the Concord trailer. And it had that tone of, like, yeah, Whedon-esque. Here we go. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? That's what she said. You know, that kind of shit. You know, everyone's tired of that kind of stuff. You know, where it's like, oh, so you're telling me that I got to do genre. Isn't that so dumb? Like, everyone hates that thing. So it was such a weird misstep, especially for a franchise that has been dormant for nearly a decade now. You can round up. It's a fan base that's not in a good place. BioWare themselves, like, if this game doesn't sell, that's it. Forget that Mass Effect game. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So you go and release this weird, tone-deaf, edgy, total... I don't know what the hell this was supposed to be. It probably won't matter for anything if the game sells. And if the game does bad, people will blame the trailer, and I'm not sure that's necessarily what's going to be the fault of it. It's just... obvious. It was the weirdest part of E3. It was the moment in E3... that felt like we were back in actual E3 and watching that classic Konami press conference. The 1 million troops, that moment, you know?
Wow.
Yes, wow.
Which game are we talking about? Because this sounds too legendary for me to have missed it. And yeah, I missed it.
Oh, we're referencing...
the one that was shitting on, or the 1 million troops?
No, I'm on about the one we're referencing.
Right, so this is Dragon Age, formerly Dreadwolf. They suddenly changed names to The Veilguard, which is the worst title, like a week before showing it off, finally.
Okay.
And the 1 million troops thing is a reference to, I forget which year it was, but it's a Konami show, and it's pretty much considered the worst show in E3's history because of just how fucking bizarre it was.
But also, it might be the best show in E3 history, because I can't think of any other press conference that continues to generate so much joy all these years later.
Yeah, I need to go back find the video of that again, because yes, that is generally the kind of thing I think of when I think of E3. Like the problem with Summer Games Fest, like, isn't that it's incompetent. Like, E3's level of competency has always been all over the place. It's that E3 was often unintentionally funny. Like, you could get bizarre shows like Konami. I think it was 2010. I think that was. You would have Sony just roll up and just casually demolish one of its competitors. Like they basically killed Sega that won E3, by just walking up to the podium saying $299, and then after the colossal fuck up of the Xbox One, they put out that game sharing trailer. That is
yeah,
the kind
the trailer on here's how to swap games, and then it's literally them swapping.
That's the energy that the general audience associated with E3, regardless of whether it was intentional or unintentional. It was funny.
Yeah, there was like Square Enix.
The Sony one was definitely intentional.
There were Square Enix shows that like really kind of hit home what was so wonderfully weird and awkward about E3. It was because like Square Enix would just do like business meetings, when you're at your job, basically like a meeting of listening to your CEO talk for 40 minutes. But then they'd also show it worldwide as like an entertainment option.
Yeah.
So you're just sitting around watching this incredibly dull meeting in like a boardroom, and then after like 35 minutes, here's the Nier Automata trailer, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and then because there's a public event, Yoko Taro would still wearing his Emil mask.
Yeah, of course. Because that's what Yoko Taro, he doesn't actually have a face under there. That is his face.
Like at some point, apparently, like his doctor told him he had to stop wearing the mask for extended periods of time. So when he was on Final Fantasy XIV live letters during Shadowbringers, because he worked on the Alliance Raid series for Final Fantasy XIV, what they do is that they bring out a speaker, put the Emil mask over that, and he'd be talking from another room.
There you go. He needs an Emil Vocaloid for him. Okay. We should probably wrap this up because we're actually getting to 2 hours on a month that we had nothing to talk about. So.
Yeah, which is impressive.
It is impressive.
That's why you love this podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it is. The #1 video game podcast, the Final Fantasy Wiki Podcast. We also have a wiki, by the way, about Final Fantasy stuff. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
So that wiki is at finalfantasy.fandom.com.
Woo!
Yep.
Got it right.
I did get it right. I've known the whole time. This podcast is hosted by BlueHighwind and produced by BlueHighwind, and most of the time SomeColorMage and Technobliterator are here. The music is always La Montañas de los Jovenes Caballeros by XPRTNovice off the OC Balance and Ruin soundtrack. It's Mount Koltz from Final Fantasy VI, but kind of like a samba song or something. It sounds awesome. It's
very good.
Yeah. It's very loud at the end of the episode. That's the sign that you need to turn this podcast off and listen to something else. And that loud music will start in 3, 2, 1. And that's the end. I'm going to make it really loud this time. I want to hurt somebody.
You didn't end it with, I want to go to sleep, like you normally do. That's interesting.
We're trying. I don't want to go to sleep. I'm actually buzzed a little bit.